What is this heavy, old, green steel box? It is stamped with "Made in Spain," but has no other markings. I managed to get the outer cover off, but the round metal drum inside wouldn't budge, and it is full of dirt and lead debris. Does anyone know what it is? It's an antique air rifle target trap, manufactured in Spain during the mid-20th century. These heavy steel boxes were designed for backyard shooting practice with pellet guns. Originally, the box would have featured several round metallic targets hanging inside. When struck by a lead projectile, the targets flip up and are held in place by a mechanical catch. Hitting a central reset target drops them all back down simultaneously. The drum at the back acts as a bullet trap, safely catching the deformed lead pellets and preventing dangerous ricochets. I found this small but surprisingly heavy cylindrical metal object in the electronics section at a thrift store, though I highly doubt it belongs there. It is about 2 inches tall, silver-colored, with a hollow center hole and an attached wire loop handle. I originally thought it was for a pressure cooker, but changed my mind. Does anyone know what it is? Your first instinct was entirely correct. It is a weighted pressure regulator cap for a stovetop pressure cooker, commonly known as a jiggler. These solid metal weights sit directly over the steam vent pipe on the lid. As the liquid inside boils, steam pressure builds. Once the internal pressure exceeds the weight of the cap, usually set around 15 pounds per square inch, the steam lifts the cap slightly and escapes. This precise mechanical action safely regulates the pressure, cooking the food rapidly while preventing the pot from exploding. I found this heavy, well-machined metal device in the home of a retired civil engineer. It is about 4.4 centimeters long. The bottom knob spins but does not seem to adjust anything, and there is a side toggle with a number 1 that slides up and down. Taking off the back cover reveals a brass plate covering what looks like tiny clockwork gears suspended in lubricant. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a mechanical self-timer for a vintage single-lens reflex camera. Before cameras had built-in electronic timers, photographers used these separate clockwork devices, popularized in the early 20th century by brands like Autoknips and Copel. The bottom spinning knob has internal threads that screw directly into the camera's threaded shutter release button. You wind up the central dial to set the delay time, and flipping the toggle switch activates the internal clockwork. As the gears slowly unwind, a small metal plunger extends from the bottom to push the camera's shutter button, allowing the photographer to walk into the frame before the picture is taken. I found this metal U-shaped object sitting right in the middle of my driveway. At first, I thought it fell off one of my cars, maybe the Ford truck or the Honda van. The ends are adjustable and removable, and it is about 4 inches long. Can someone identify this? It's an adjustable drawer pull, specifically a modern style of cabinet handle. Despite looking like a specialized automotive bracket, it is a standard piece of household hardware. The adjustable sliding ends allow it to fit into pre-existing drilled holes on a drawer face, usually spaced 3 or 4 inches apart. It likely just fell out of a contractor's pocket or a delivery box while they were walking up your driveway. I found this at my late grandfather's house. It is a heavy brown leather rectangle with detailing and a rounded glass insert. The glass feels quite weighty and has a removable piece that seems to have been cut and glued in place. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a glass slicker, a specialized tool used in leatherworking. Also referred to as a burnishing glass, it is used by craftsmen to smooth and compress the flesh side of a piece of leather. By firmly pressing and sliding the rounded edge of the heavy glass across damp leather, the loose fibers are forced to lay flat, creating a polished, smooth finish. The leather wrapping on this specific tool acts as a protective handle, providing a comfortable grip while applying the necessary pressure to burnish the hide. My mom bought this red plastic object while picking up some pickling jars, but we are not sure if they are related. It is about 9 inches long and a 1/4 inch thick, with a smooth rounded end and a stepped edge marked at 1/4 inch intervals. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a canning bubble popper and headspace measuring tool. When preserving food in mason jars, trapped air bubbles can cause the seals to fail during the boiling process. The smooth, rounded end is designed to slide down the inside of the glass jar to physically release those hidden air pockets. Meanwhile, the stepped edge measures the empty space at the top of the jar, known as headspace. Proper headspace ensures a strong vacuum seal, keeping the preserved food safe for long-term storage. I found this in a storage unit alongside speakers, choir risers, and stage equipment. It is a flat steel plate on wheels, about 4 feet long and 10 inches wide, with a handle on the underside of each end. There were 7 of them in the unit. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a heavy-duty wheel board for a professional speaker cabinet. Specifically, these are used for transporting large line array speaker systems, like those manufactured by audio companies such as JBL. Line array speakers are incredibly heavy, often weighing over 100 pounds each, and are designed to be linked together and suspended from rigging at concerts. Instead of lifting them individually, stagehands stack them on these thick steel wheel boards, allowing a single crew member to roll an entire array directly onto a truck or stage. The handles on the underside allow the crew to maneuver the heavy loads efficiently during rapid tour setups and teardowns. I got this as a present from my former neighbor about 2 years ago. It looks like a metal blade with a rounded tip, measuring about 10 inches long and 1 inch wide. There are 2 circular holes in the tang and a faint, unreadable marking, but it isn't sharp at all. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage letter opener. Also known as paper knives, letter openers have been heavily utilized since the mid-19th century, when mass-produced envelopes became the standard in postal systems. The unsharpened, rounded tip is designed to safely slip under the flap of a sealed envelope and cleanly slice through the folded paper crease without damaging the documents inside. The 2 holes in the tang indicate it was originally riveted to a decorative wooden or bone handle that has since fallen off. I found this lightweight metal object inside a colorful leather pouch. It looks like a smoking device, but the long, sharp stick pokes all the way out the other side. The pouch has several aesthetic layers under the lid. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Tuareg tobacco pipe, specifically originating from Mauritania. The Tuareg are a nomadic people of the Sahara Desert, and their metalwork is highly distinct. The long, sharp poker you see is completely intentional. Because the pipe is used in harsh, sandy environments, the poker serves as a built-in cleaning tool to quickly clear out ash and sand blockages from the narrow metal shaft. I just bought a new chifforobe, and when I removed the drawers, I found this rough black board nailed to the inside. It doesn't seem to provide extra support to anything on the outside of the dresser, and the texture is incredibly rough. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an anti-tip counterweight. Furniture manufacturers install these dense, heavy blocks into the rear base of tall dressers and cabinets. They are often made of cast iron, concrete, or dense composite materials like medium-density fiberboard. When you open multiple loaded drawers at once, the center of gravity shifts dangerously forward, creating a tipping hazard. This counterweight anchors the back of the furniture downward, mechanically ensuring the unit remains stable and preventing accidents. I found this at a thrift store, and it looks like a 3-foot-long wooden ratcheted device. It has a stick that can be lengthened and rests against sawtooth stops. There is a round recessed base and a forked part just above it, made entirely from stained, unfinished pine. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a ratcheting candle trammel, or an adjustable hanging lamp holder. Historically used in the 18th and 19th centuries, this device would hang from a barn rafter or workshop ceiling using a leather strap. The round, recessed base served as a platform for an oil lamp or a candle. By adjusting the stick along the saw-toothed notches, the user could easily raise or lower the light source to suit their work height without needing to remount the entire fixture. What is this steel tool, several inches long, with one rounded and one square end? It has a small hole that goes right through it, and what looks like machining marks or threads down its entire length. Does anyone know what it is? It's a piano rest pin, more commonly known as a tuning peg. A standard piano contains over 200 of these steel pins, one for each individual string. The piano wire threads through the small hole and wraps around the pin. A piano tuner places a specialized wrench over the square end to rotate the peg, tightening or loosening the string to adjust its pitch. The micro threads along the body grip the wooden pin block inside the piano, ensuring the immense tension of the strings holds steady over time. I uncovered this heavy, rusty chunk of what looks like solid iron outside in Texas. It has a very imperfect, oblong hole going straight through the center. At first, I assumed it was industrial slag or some old molten metal that spilled and hardened around a pipe. Can someone explain what this is? It's a geological formation known as an ironstone concretion. Rather than being man-made metal slag, it is a naturally occurring mass of sedimentary rock, heavily cemented together by iron oxide. The oblong hole in the center indicates that the concretion likely formed around an organic object, like a tree root or a branch, which later decayed away and left a void. Alternatively, a consistent flow of water could have slowly eroded the center as the surrounding iron minerals accumulated and hardened over thousands of years. I noticed this strange exposed mechanism on the underside of the right wing of a Boeing 737 passenger jet. It looks like some sort of hydraulic jack screw, but the surrounding area is completely exposed to the wind. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a flap ball screw assembly, and it is usually hidden from view. Normally, an aerodynamic cover, called a flap track fairing, or canoe, encloses this mechanism to reduce drag. In this case, the cover has been removed, likely for routine maintenance on the ground. The exposed ball screw acts as a heavy-duty linear actuator. As the screw rotates, it precisely drives the wing flaps backward and downward, increasing lift during takeoff and landing. Once maintenance is complete, the canoe fairing is bolted back into place before the aircraft is cleared for flight. What is this heavy, solid iron cylinder found sitting in an old toolbox full of miscellaneous tools? It measures about 4 inches long and 1 inch in diameter, and appears to have thick friction rings on both sides of the middle divide. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a hydraulic ram extension connector, specifically used for a porta-power kit. A porta-power is a heavy-duty hydraulic tool used by auto body mechanics to push, pull, and bend crumpled car frames back into shape after an accident. This specific connector joins 2 steel extension pipes together, allowing the hydraulic force to reach deep inside a vehicle chassis. The thick friction rings grab the inside of the pipes, ensuring they do not slip apart while bearing tons of pressure. I found this in my attic. It is a bag of yellow plastic tiles and an unknown white powder, tightly wrapped in bubble wrap as if it were fragile. The powder seems like flour, and the tiles have a distinct texture. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a mosaic tile and grout kit. The textured plastic pieces are the mosaic tiles, and the white powder is dry grout. Grout is a dense material used to fill gaps and seal joints between tiles. When mixed with water, the powder forms a paste that hardens over time, locking the tiles into a rigid structure. This was likely a leftover hobbycraft project or a small repair kit stashed away by a previous homeowner. This fell out of my laundry after a wash. It appears to be made from a soft plastic or rubber material with a hole running through the center. Does anyone know what it is? It's a decorative garment bead. These types of soft silicone or plastic beads are commonly attached to the ends of drawstrings on hoodies, sweatpants, or jackets. They act as stoppers to prevent the string from pulling back through the fabric channel and also serve a cosmetic purpose. The combination of hot water, heavy detergent, and rapid physical tumbling inside a washing machine frequently degrades the friction fit holding them in place, causing them to detach from the clothing during the laundry cycle. I came across this while clearing out my grandmother's attic. It is a blue and white ceramic pot or jug that comes apart into 2 distinct pieces. I have legitimately no idea what its purpose is or why it is shaped this way. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a ceramic gravity-fed bird feeder. The top reservoir section is designed to be filled with fine bird seed, which then rests upside down inside the wider bottom tray. It operates on a simple principle of physics. As the birds eat the seed from the exposed bottom tray, the seed level drops below the openings of the top section, Gravity automatically draws more seeds down into the tray until the pile rises enough to block the holes again, regulating the flow. While some modern designs use plastic for durability, these vintage ceramic models were popular for domestic gardens, though they were rarely used for water, since algae buildup inside the opaque ceramic makes them difficult to clean. I go to this park all the time, which used to be an old wastewater treatment plant, and I always wonder what this structure was used for. It is 20 feet tall and 30 feet long, with lots of 6-foot-long ropes hanging down. There is also a small shed with a power switch. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the framework for an industrial gantry crane. A transport truck would back into the open space beneath the steel frame, and a motorized ceiling hoist would travel along that large central girder to load and unload heavy equipment or chemical containers. The power switch in the shed supplied electricity to drive the overhead crane mechanism, while the long ropes allowed operators to manually control the hoist or guide the payload from the ground. Today, only the skeletal structure remains standing. I came across this vintage red plastic figure in the UK, measuring roughly 6 inches tall. It splits into 2 hollow parts and is shaped like a classic candy character, specifically stamped with the year 1993. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a promotional Jelly Babies candy container. Manufactured by Bassett's in 1993, this specific character is known as Baby Brilliant, one of the various mascots created to market the famous British confection. The 2-part plastic shell was originally sold fully packed with the soft sugar candies. During the 1990s, candy companies frequently used these durable, reusable novelty containers to boost retail sales, leaving behind fun collectible items long after the sweets were consumed. What is this wooden object? It stands about 4 inches tall with a 4-inch wide base. I initially thought it might be a business card holder, but there are 2 side-by-side slots and a strange center hole. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wooden percussion instrument specifically designed to function as a type of woodblock or slit drum. The side-by-side slots and center hole act as carefully carved hollow resonant chambers. When a musician strikes the top surface with a mallet, these chambers vibrate to produce a sharp, distinct rhythmic tone. The specific dimensions of the carvings control the acoustics, determining the exact pitch the instrument produces when hit. My wife found this piece at a local antique store. It looks like a ceramic bowl, but strangely, it has a handle and a hole located entirely on the inside of the dish. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a lid to a ceramic slop pail, dating back to the late 19th century before indoor plumbing was common. After washing up in a bedroom basin, people would pour their dirty bathwater into a larger bucket for disposal. This specific lid acted as an inner funnel insert. The shape prevented the dirty water from splashing out as the bucket was carried, and the small holes allowed the water to drain through while catching and salvaging valuable slivers of soap. What is this 6-inch long, black plastic hexagonal object found sitting around the house? One end bends at a 90-degree angle for about 1.5 inches, almost like a specialized wrench. Does anyone know what it is? It is a disposable installation tool for plumbing fixtures. Manufacturers often include these basic specialized wrenches with new sink faucets or toilet seats. Because the securing nuts are usually located in deep, tight spaces underneath the basin, a standard wrench cannot easily reach them. This hollow hexagonal tube slides directly over the long mounting bolt and grips the nut, while the bent end allows you to apply torque and tighten the assembly securely without needing to buy professional plumbing tools. I found this small white plastic button from some sort of electronic device lying on my floor. I placed an earbud next to it for scale, but I cannot figure out what it popped off of. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a membrane button from a ceiling fan remote control. These rubberized silicone keypads are manufactured in sheets and pushed through the hard plastic shell of the remote. Over time, the flexible collar that holds the individual button in place can tear due to repeated pressing, allowing the button to fall out completely. You will likely find a remote nearby with a missing speed or light control switch. This pink plastic object was randomly thrown over my neighbor's wall into the yard. At first glance, the shape led to some inappropriate guesses. but the attached metal hardware suggests a mechanical purpose. Does anyone know what it is? It's a brake cover for a children's kick scooter. The plastic shell is designed to snap over the rear wheel assembly. The metal pieces inside are the tension springs and mounting brackets. When a rider steps down on this pink plastic guard, it forces the internal metal brake pad against the spinning polyurethane wheel, creating friction to stop the scooter safely while protecting the rider's shoe from the moving parts. Mechanics found this thick, heavy metal chunk lodged in my husband's flat tire after a drive through rural Indiana. It feels like cast iron and has faded stamping that reads, "Covered by, more USA," and some numbers like 77517. Google image searches keep suggesting an old coin or shipwreck piece, which is not helpful. Does anyone know what it is? It's a broken fragment of a heavy-duty brake pad backing plate from a commercial truck or tractor. The stamped text originally read, "Covered by one or more USA patents," followed by the specific patent numbers. Brake pads consist of a high-friction material, riveted or chemically molded onto a thick steel backing plate. Over time, extreme heat and constant mechanical stress can cause these plates to fracture and shear off, especially on poorly maintained heavy vehicles. This heavy piece of road debris was perfectly shaped to puncture a tire when rolled over. I found this 2.5-inch metal object in a junk drawer. It looks a bit like a keychain fob, but it is surprisingly heavy for its size. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a metal punch, likely a center punch used in machining and metalworking. Machinists and carpenters use these heavy, hardened steel tools to mark the precise center of a hole before drilling. By placing the pointed end against a surface and striking the back with a hammer, it creates a small dimple. This indentation prevents the drill bit from wandering across the material when starting a hole, ensuring perfect alignment for manufacturing or structural repairs. I found 2 of these plastic rings in my laundry basket after taking clothes out of the dryer. They are about 12 centimeters in diameter, and I initially thought they were a broken part from the washing machine drum. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a piece of reinforcing underwire from a garment, most likely a bra or a structured bathing suit. Modern clothing manufacturers often use these flexible plastic or metal rings sewn directly into the fabric to maintain a garment's shape and provide structural support against the body. Over time, the heat and tumbling action of a standard clothes dryer can wear down the fabric seams, allowing these reinforcing inserts to slip out completely unnoticed until you fold your laundry. I spotted this big, desk-sized machine being used as a decoration piece in an apartment building hallway. It looks incredibly heavy, made of cast iron with a chute at the bottom. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a heavy-duty woodworking jointer. While it looks like a desk, it is actually designed for milling lumber. A motor turns a heavy metal cylinder located in the middle, which is fitted with sharp cutting blades. When a woodworker pushes a board flat across the spinning cylinder, the blades shave off a precise layer of wood, creating a perfectly straight and flat edge. The scrap wood chips and dust then fall down that large metal chute on the bottom. These cast iron machines are incredibly durable, which is why vintage models are often preserved, even if just for decoration. I found this bright orange plastic object in a parking lot. It has raised print that says keychain and made in Canada. One side says Oceanos, and the other has the number 63, plus it has a circular cutout at the top. Does anyone know what it actually is? What you found is actually a pair tag, commonly used for identifying livestock. While a manufacturer might stamp keychain on it to sell factory seconds or promotional items to the public, its primary design is an agricultural ear tag. The circular cutout at the top is designed to lock securely into an applicator tool, which then punches a pin through an animal's ear to hold the tag firmly in place. The bright orange plastic and large numbers allow ranchers to easily identify cattle or sheep from a distance. What are these evenly spaced structures carved into the hills of Afghanistan? There are tens of thousands of them covering the landscape, and each one is about 11 feet long. They look almost like military defenses, but their placement is highly repetitive. Does anyone know what they are? What you found is a system of water catchment trenches, also known as swales or contour trenches. In arid and semi-arid regions where rainfall is scarce but intense, heavy rains simply wash down steep hillsides, causing severe soil erosion. By digging thousands of these horizontal trenches along the natural contours of the hill, the downward flow of surface water is physically interrupted. The trenches capture the rainwater, allowing it to slowly sink into the ground. This mechanism replenishes the local groundwater table and provides enough moisture to support the planting of vegetation in otherwise barren terrain. I woke up in the middle of the night to check on a new 3D print and found this plastic knob sitting on my rug. It has an arrow on one side and a shaft on the back, but it's dusty, so it definitely didn't come from my brand new printer. Could it be from my laser printer? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a temperature control knob from a Rheem water heater. The shaft connects directly to the gas valve to adjust the water heat setting. The way it ended up on a bedroom rug is actually quite funny. The finder had moved a bicycle inside from their garage, where it was parked right next to the water heater. The bicycle tire bumped the heater, knocked the knob loose, and carried it inside, stuck to the rubber treads, before finally dropping it onto the carpet. I found this small white plastic item in my washing machine after finishing a load of laundry. It is perfectly round, with a raised edge, but it is incredibly tiny. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Barbie doll plate. Mattel introduced Barbie in 1959, and over the decades they have manufactured countless miniature accessories to accompany their playsets. This specific piece is a tiny plastic dining plate scaled down for a fashion doll. Because of their small size and lightweight plastic construction, these accessories frequently slip into pockets or get tangled in clothing, only to be discovered later at the bottom of a washing machine drum. I found a whole pack of these inside a returned shipping box. They are made of very lightweight glass that looks like it could chip easily, though some have a metallic sheen. They come in various lengths. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are chandelier drops, also known as crystal prisms or pendants. These decorative glass pieces have been used since the late 17th century to amplify and reflect the light from candles and later electric bulbs. Manufacturers cut and polish the glass into faceted shapes, which refract the light to create a sparkling effect across the room. Modern replacement pieces like these are often made from lighter, mass-produced glass or acrylic, and they use small metal pins at the top to hook onto the frame of the lighting fixture. I found this at the beach in Sicily. It looks like a lightweight sphere, possibly hollow inside, and appears to be made of plastic. It has text stamped on it reading 11-8 SIP, Scano, Bergamo, Italy. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a shade ball, or a reservoir float. Shade balls are manufactured in massive quantities to cover the open surface of reservoirs and agricultural tanks. By floating tightly together on the water, they block sunlight, which significantly reduces evaporation and prevents algae growth. The specific manufacturer markings indicate it was produced by a plastics company located in Bergamo, Italy. Because they are highly buoyant and lightweight, stray ones often escape local water treatment facilities and eventually wash up on coastlines. I found this tiny, lightweight electronic component in a parking lot. It is just short of 2 inches long and looks like a small circuit board attached to a display dial. The screen seems to show a graphic of red drops, and the board has a serial code printed on it. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an LCD display screen for a disposable electronic cigarette, commonly called a vape. Modern disposable vapes have become increasingly complex, incorporating small circuit boards and digital readouts to monitor usage. The red droplet graphic on the screen is an indicator designed to dynamically show the user how much liquid or battery life remains in the device. The printed alphanumeric code corresponds to the specific manufacturing batch of the miniature logic board, which processes the sensor data and illuminates the screen during use. What is this miniature gray aluminum tripod object? It has the SanDisk logo written on it, 3 shallow slots on the top, and 3 tiny rubber pieces on the bottom tips to act as anti-slip grips. It is roughly the length of a standard pen. Does anyone know what it is? It's a base stand for a SanDisk USB flash memory card reader. In the early 2000s, as digital cameras became popular, transferring photos required dedicated card-reading devices. SanDisk manufactured the ImageMate series, which included this magnetic metallic tripod base. The card reader itself would snap into the 3 shallow slots on top, keeping it upright and accessible on a computer desk. The rubber feet prevented it from sliding around while users inserted or removed their memory cards. I was clearing out some clutter and found this small metal man with triangle marking sitting at the bottom of my change dish at home. It has a tiny hook at the top, and I am honestly wondering if it is blessing or cursing my house. Does anyone know what it is? It's a jewelry charm. Specifically, a component from a Laurel Birch gold-toned tribal hoop earring. Laurel Birch was an iconic American artist and designer who started out making stamped metal jewelry in the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco during the 1960s. Her designs often featured stylized animals and figures. This specific piece is from her vintage tribal men and women collection. The tiny hook at the top originally attached to a larger beaded hoop before the earring came apart. I found this quite dense, round object resting on an icy lake in northern Zealand, Denmark. It is a little larger than a tennis ball and looks extremely rusty. I am slightly worried it might be unexploded ordnance. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a solid iron cannonball, likely dating to before the 1800s. Because it is completely solid cast iron rather than a hollow explosive shell, it is perfectly safe to handle. Denmark has a rich military history, including the Dano-Swedish Wars and the English Wars in the 17th and 19th centuries, which left many artifacts scattered across the landscape. The intense rust and pitting are a direct result of the iron oxidizing over centuries of exposure to moisture and harsh Scandinavian winters. I found this in a guest bedroom. It is a hinged, plastic frame with a mirror on the inside and a plexiglass window. It has the brand name SEMA stamped on it, and it casts a strange glow when television light hits it. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a SEMA copy kit, manufactured heavily in the 1980s and 1990s. Before digital scanners existed, this device was used to transfer 8mm home movies, or 35mm slides, onto VHS tapes. To use it, you set it up on its wedge base. You point a film projector at the plexiglass window and position a camcorder at the adjacent opening to record the image bouncing off the internal mirror. The mirror corrects the orientation so the image does not record backward. I found this green plastic thing stored inside my freezer. It has a handle, but the wide opening at the top makes it look like it is missing a crucial piece. Does anyone know what it is? It's a handle for a facial ice roller. You are absolutely right that a piece is missing. Originally, a cylindrical barrel filled with water and cooling gel would snap into the 2 prongs at the top. The user places the entire unit in the freezer until the gel freezes solid, then rolls the cold cylinder over their face. This form of mild, at-home cryotherapy constricts blood vessels to temporarily reduce facial swelling and puffiness. What is this piece of metal in the side wall of my HVAC air intake frame? It is an approximately 1 by 1.5 centimeter A-shaped metal tab that sits flush in the frame. I am wondering if it can be bent out slightly to help keep the 20 by 20 inch air filter centered. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an installation tab for the return air grate frame. These small metal cutouts are stamped directly into the sheet metal during manufacturing to accommodate different installation styles. If the frame needs to be secured to the surrounding drywall or wooden studs, the HVAC installer can bend these tabs outward to create mounting flanges. While you could technically bend them to center a loose filter, their primary mechanical purpose is structural support for the housing. What is this small wooden cylinder? It is a few inches across and features thick green felt glued to both of its flat sides. It looks purposefully made, but there are no obvious markings or brand names on it. What could this be used for? This object is known as a backing block or dolly, specifically used for repairing brass musical instruments. Instrument repair technicians, like those in the United States Marine Corps Band, use tools precisely like this to remove dents from the bell area of brass horns. The block is held tightly against the inside of the instrument, while the technician taps the outside with a specialized hammer. The felt pads on both sides are critical, as they protect the delicate lacquer or polished silver finishes from scratching while absorbing the shock of the hammer strikes. I found this circular brick border embedded in a concrete slab between two residential buildings. It is just large enough for a person to stand inside, and it is currently filled with broken bits of concrete, dirt, and wood. Can someone tell me what this was used for? It's a planter hole left behind by a removed tree. Often, when property owners pour a concrete walkway or patio, they want to preserve an existing, mature tree. To do this, they build a decorative brick border around the trunk to allow water to reach the roots, and then pour the concrete up to that border. However, if the tree dies over time and has to be cut down, the stump is ground away. This leaves an empty, brick-lined void right in the middle of the pavement, which quickly collects dirt and debris. I work an office job, and a customer recently handed me this strange, stiff metal clip. They implied I would use it a lot. It resembles a traditional paper clip, but is much larger and features a distinct extra loop on the side. It feels too heavy just to hold a few sheets of paper together. Does anyone know what it is? It's a specialized pin holder clip, designed to attach a writing utensil directly to a notebook or clipboard. The main rectangular body of the clip functions just like a standard paper clip, sliding over the stiff cardboard cover of a journal or a thick stack of documents. The extra metallic loop on the side acts as an expansion spring. You slide the barrel of a pin into this side loop, and the metal grips the plastic tightly. This simple mechanical design ensures that office workers or field inspectors always have a pin securely anchored to their notebook, preventing it from getting lost in a pocket. I was looking at the back of my bra strap and noticed this extra plastic attachment with a small hook on the side. It slides up and down the strap, but I have never actually used it or understood its purpose. Can someone explain what it does? What you found is a built-in strap converter, often called a racerback clip. Standard bra straps run vertically over the shoulders, which can be visible when wearing sleeveless tops or dresses with a narrow back profile. This small plastic mechanism solves that problem. By sliding the attachment up the strap and hooking it onto the corresponding piece on the opposite shoulder strap, you pull both straps together into an X shape in the center of your back. This completely hides the straps under racerback clothing while also providing extra tension to prevent the straps from slipping down your shoulders. I found this foldable blue hand sitting on my new desk at a hospital. It's fully posable and can be bent into multiple positions. Because it was on a desk, I initially thought it might be a strange novelty laptop holder. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a surgical hand immobilizer, often referred to as a lead hand splint. During intricate surgical procedures on a patient's hand or wrist, doctors need the fingers to remain completely stationary and out of the way. This tool is made of highly malleable aluminum coated in a sterile, latex-free silicone. Surgeons physically bend the heavy blue fingers over the patient's actual fingers, firmly clamping them down to secure the hand to the operating table. I found this small circular cotton ring in a Tokyo hotel room. It was sitting inside the bathroom amenities box alongside the complimentary toothbrushes and soaps. The fabric is thick and slightly elastic. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a standard cosmetic hairband. In many upscale or Japanese hotels, elaborate vanity kits are provided to guests to make their stay more comfortable. Alongside common items like cotton swabs, shower caps, and razors, these elastic cotton bands are routinely included. They are designed to hold a guest's hair back away from their face while they wash up, apply makeup, or relax in the hotel spa. What is this heavy metal component removed from a 100-pound per square inch airline, just upstream from a solenoid? It measures about 6 inches long. Air can pass straight through both ends, as well as through the porous middle section. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a pneumatic quick exhaust valve with an integrated silencer. In heavy industrial machinery, pressurized air cylinders are used to forcefully move mechanical parts. When a solenoid switches the direction of the pressurized air, the old air needs to vent out instantly so the cylinder can retract. This valve allows that high-pressure air to escape quickly into the atmosphere. The porous metal filter acts as a heavy-duty muffler, significantly dampening the loud, potentially deafening blast of exhaust air to protect the worker's hearing. What is this small, threaded metal object, measuring about 2 inches long? It has a textured grip on one end and screw threads on the other. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as the handle to a novelty fidget spinner. Specifically, it is the central grip section that screws directly into a ball-bearing housing. Fidget spinners rely on a central bearing to reduce friction, allowing the weighted outer body to rotate rapidly for several minutes. While standard spinners use a flat finger pad, novelty metal versions, like miniature replicas of Thor's hammer, use this threaded handle design so the user can firmly grip the shaft while the heavy metal head spins freely around it. This item is mounted in our employee bathroom. It is a white rectangle about 10 inches long with a black hole in the middle, and it points directly at the toilet. It is a private bathroom, and I am worried it might be a hidden camera. Does anyone know what it is? It's a Hospeco Stratus 3 slimline metered aerosol dispenser. You do not need to worry about being recorded, as that black hole is just the nozzle opening. Inside the plastic casing, a battery-powered mechanism presses down on the valve of an aerosol air freshener can at programmed intervals. The spray timer can be adjusted to release a burst of fragrance every 5, 10, 15, or 20 minutes. It also features a built-in light sensor, allowing it to switch between 24-hour operation and a day-only mode to conserve battery life when the room is dark. What is this small white squeeze bulb attached to a short glass tube with a flared lip? Does anyone know what it is? It's a facial cupping tool. Cupping is a practice with roots in traditional alternative medicine, but this specific small glass version is designed for cosmetic use on the face. By squeezing the rubber bulb, you force air out of the glass tube. When the glass lip is placed against the skin and the bulb is released, it creates a vacuum seal. This negative pressure draws the skin upward, which is intended to stimulate blood circulation. Users have to be careful with the suction pressure, as leaving it in one spot too long can easily rupture capillaries and cause bruising. I was in the operating room of a hospital and saw these transparent tubes running along the ceiling and going straight through the walls. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a pneumatic tube transport system. Originally developed in the 19th century by inventors like William Murdoch, these mechanical systems use air compressors and vacuums to propel cylindrical containers through a complex network of pipes. While they were historically popular in post offices and bank drive-thrus, they remain a highly utilized infrastructure component in modern hospitals. A medical professional can place a blood sample, lab test, or urgent medication into a carrier, and the vacuum system rapidly shoots it to another department, saving valuable time during a critical procedure. I found this small plastic base in the kitchen, but I cannot figure out what it actually does. It holds threaded tubes that screw into metal loops, seating directly into the center of the base. There are 5 slots in total. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a fish deboner, specifically designed for preparing trout. It operates through a simple but highly effective mechanical process. To use it, you first remove the head of the fish. Then, you place the exposed spine into the center hole of the device. By firmly pushing the fish down through the metal ring, the tool strips the meat away while capturing the spine and ribs. It leaves you with perfectly deboned fillets in a matter of seconds, saving cooks from manually picking out tiny pin bones. What is this complicated set of beads? It consists of 4 loops of plastic jewel beads attached to a central screw clasp. Stretched out, each loop is about 9 inches long. The colors are divided by the latch, but I cannot figure out how it is meant to be worn. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage multi-strand beaded necklace with a screw barrel clasp. Popularized in the 1950s and 1960s, these layered bead necklaces were a staple of mid-century fashion. The central screw clasp is designed to sit at the back of the neck, while the overlapping 9-inch loops drape across the collarbone. The short leads help stagger the loops so they lay flat against the chest without tangling. Though often made of lightweight acrylic or plastic rather than glass, they were designed to accurately mimic the luxurious layered pearl aesthetics of the era. I have seen these panels in many older German hotels, usually mounted in the bedroom or sometimes the bathroom. This unit has a simple volume dial and 4 main buttons, plus an off switch, and another toggle to the right. None of them seem to work anymore, and standard radio tuning makes no sense with only 4 buttons. Does anyone know what it is? It is a centralized hotel radio receiver panel. During the 1960s and 1970s, before individual televisions and digital devices were common in every room, European hotels installed these hardwired audio systems. Instead of putting an expensive, tunable radio receiver in every room, the hotel maintained a primary receiver at the front desk or in the basement. That main system tuned into 4 specific local broadcasting stations and piped the audio directly through the building's wiring to a speaker built into each room. The 4 buttons simply act as channel selectors for those preset programs, which is why the unit lacks a standard tuning dial and no longer functions without the central system. I dug up this solid iron object from under the ground in a horse field in the UK. It is quite heavy, measuring about 12 centimeters long and 9 centimeters wide. It features a tapered shape with a distinct lump in the middle. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a broken component from heavy agricultural machinery, commonly referred to by metal detectorists as a bit of a tractor. More specifically, this heavy cast iron shape resembles a broken cultivator tooth, or harrow tine. Farmers drag these heavy implements through the soil behind a tractor to break up clods, uproot weeds, and prepare the ground for planting. Because these parts endure massive friction and frequent high-speed impacts with subterranean rocks, they are designed as replaceable wear parts. The lump in the middle is likely the reinforced housing where a mounting bolt once secured it to the tractor's main frame before it snapped off and was buried in the field decades ago. We run an online account that scores public benches, and we are trying to figure out if this wooden object found in Richmond Park actually counts as one. It is approximately 11 feet long and looks like a staggered wooden bench. There are stables nearby, so we suspect it might be equestrian, but we cannot find anything exactly like it. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a combination hitching post and mounting block for horses. The taller vertical posts provide a sturdy place to tie a horse's lead rope, keeping the animal secure while the rider is away. The staggered, bench-like wooden steps function as a mounting block. This structural design gives riders a mechanical advantage, allowing them to step up and easily swing their leg over the saddle without putting undue strain on the horse's back or their own knees. Therefore, it is definitely not a traditional seating bench. What is this 14-foot tall pole with a green camera-like module mounted at the very top? It was spotted set up next to the field during a local school soccer game. Does anyone know what it is? It's an automated sports recording camera, most likely a VO camera system. These specialized devices are designed to record wide-angle footage of outdoor team sports for coaching and broadcast analysis. The green module contains 2 4K lenses that capture a 180-degree panoramic view of the entire field. As the game progresses, internal artificial intelligence software automatically tracks the ball and players, panning and zooming digitally to follow the action without requiring a human operator to physically move the equipment. I found this small blue plastic and metal item. It is oval-shaped with a ring that the blue piece can pass through and fold back around. It measures about 3 to 4 inches in length when completely open. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a folding wine bottle stopper. When you open a bottle of wine, the metal ring slides over the top of the glass neck, and the blue stopper portion presses down firmly into the opening. The folding mechanism creates an airtight seal using leverage, which preserves the wine by preventing oxidation. They are typically manufactured by international barware companies and are often sold in sets alongside matching corkscrews. I found this 2-inch-long brass nameplate while tidying up the house. It looks like it belongs to something specific, but I am not sure what. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage manufacturer's nameplate. These brass tags were widely used throughout the 19th and 20th centuries by companies to brand their products, ranging from heavy industrial machinery to household furniture. They were typically riveted or tacked directly onto the item. Given its size, it likely fell off an old piece of equipment or an antique cabinet stored in the home. What is this chrome rack with 3 sets of hooks, and which way is it supposed to be mounted? The confusing part is that the hooks on one side face up, while the hooks on the other side face down. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a classic, wall-mounted hat and coat rack. To hang it correctly, you want the large, looping hooks facing upward. These upper hooks are specifically contoured to support the crown of a hat without denting it. The smaller, downward-facing hooks at the bottom are designed to hold the collar loop of a heavy winter coat. This functional layout prevents the coats from crushing the hats. I found this small 1 centimeter plastic pink tube case. It is clasped shut but can be opened, and inside there is a piece of brown plastic foil. Does anyone know what it is? It's a replacement squeaker for a dog toy. Inside the plastic casing, the brown plastic foil acts as a reed. When the toy is compressed, air is forced past this thin plastic membrane, causing it to vibrate rapidly and produce that familiar high-pitched squeak. These small units are commonly sewn into the plush fabric of pet toys to trigger a dog's prey drive and keep them engaged during playtime. I got this sticker in a set of 50 random neon stickers ordered online. Neither my fiance nor I can even remotely come close to figuring out what the text on this one says. Every time I think I have figured it out, I realize I haven't. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a graffiti tag sticker that spells the word Bogue. The heavily stylized, almost illegible typography twists the letters together. In street art culture, lettering is often distorted into wild-style formats for visual impact rather than simple readability. This specific design was likely scraped from internet art boards by an algorithm and mass-produced by overseas sticker printers to fill out cheap bundle packs. What is this small plastic piece with 4 tiny holes? It came with several short metal spikes completely unattached. Does anyone know what it is? It's a hard wall hanger, also known as a concrete picture hook. Instead of drilling a large hole for a traditional masonry anchor, this device distributes weight across multiple fine points. You insert the small metal spikes into the guide holes and hammer them directly into concrete, brick, or cinder block walls. The downward angle of the hardened steel pins tightly secures the plastic hook against the rigid surface, allowing it to easily support heavy pictures or wall clocks without cracking the plaster. What is this optical disc housed inside a hard plastic cartridge? It looks like a standard compact disc, but it is enclosed inside a protective plastic case. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a CD caddy. Before the standard motorized disc trays became universal, early CD-ROM drives in the late 1980s and early 1990s required these protective sleeves. The user would insert the bare disc into the caddy and then slide the entire assembly into the computer drive. This enclosed design prevented dust accumulation, protected the disc from scratches, and allowed the optical drives to function when mounted vertically. By 1994, manufacturers realized that tray loading drives were much cheaper to produce, rendering the CD caddy obsolete. Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.